Hey guys, we're back in beautiful Arizona. We've got a nice breeze today and we're looking at a very unique, very special bike, in my opinion. This is the Pedego Boomerang, completely stock with the 24-inch wheels. And the interesting thing about this bike is that it's available in two frame sizes and they're really differentiated by those wheels. So 24-inch versus 26-inch, and that's going to raise the frame about an inch in terms of standover, but closer to a couple inches in terms of minimum saddle height. This bike is really neat in that it comes with hydraulic disc brakes, it comes with a suspension seat post, it's got the lights, and they have fenders, a whole bunch of really cool upgrades, but the frame itself is really the star of the show in my opinion because it's just so approachable. This is like 8-inch standover height, so just you don't even really have to lift your leg hardly at all to approach the frame and get over it. And they have managed to give you those bottle cage bosses. It's a completely purpose-built frame, very thoughtfully done with the integrated rack, just like we've seen on the Comfort Cruiser and some of the other models from Pedego. They do a great job, and I love that everything is paint matched, and they have several fun colors. We're looking at white, which is a good color on a hot day. You see that's tied into the rear rack, the steel fork, even the rims. I like that they've gone with black on the hubs, black on these 12 gauge, very sturdy spokes. They also have an upgrade option where you can get cast magnesium rims, but that's only if you get the larger frame size with the 26-inch wheels. You can get the smaller frame size 24-inch wheels with cast rims, but you have to pay extra for the Platinum edition, and it only comes in one color, this dark silvery platinum. So if you weigh a little bit more, or you just don't want to mess around with, you know, truing the wheels over time, or if you just like the way they look, that's another nice upgrade. The bike is just a fun thing to get on. You got the throttle, you got the pedal assist, the same upgraded pedal assist that we've seen on the other models. This is a 12 magnet sealed cadence sensor down there. Some of the older ones, they had this big disc with magnets that were much more exposed. It was easier to bump the sensor out of place and stuff. Now it's all kind of encapsulated in there. We've got this really sturdy kickstand. I'm not a huge fan of the mounting point. It's at the center of the bike, and you can get that pedal lock that you hear me talk about a lot. And that's a kind of a concern if you're backing this out in a garage and it's a tight space, and the cranks are going to cycle backwards as you do that, and then they can get locked, and then, you know, what do? You got to tip the bike or something. This bike is about 58 pounds, and that is the stock version here with the lowest capacity battery pack, 48 volt, 10 amp hours. It's only half a pound if you want to get the 15 amp hour battery, $700 for that upgrade, which surprised me. You know, just recently I was looking at the Comfort, and it is a 36 volt system, whereas this is 48. So this is a lot punchier. You definitely feel it. There's more torque, there's more power, especially when you have the smaller wheel size, because the motor has a better mechanical advantage. It's not having to move this really wide wheel. You're really set up for power here, especially if you upgrade the battery pack. So I just wanted to call that out. Again, these tight spaces could be a little bit difficult, and I'm imagining a customer for this bike, someone with maybe a bit more limited mobility, and you're trying to park this in a tight space and you're backing it up, you get that pedal lock. That's a bit of a bummer. I like that the handlebar on this one is a little bit narrower. You know, you might remember, or perhaps you've seen the really big swept back, super high cruiser bars. They're a lot wider than this. So at least with this bike, you're going to be less likely to scrape the door frame or a car or something if you're walking it out of the garage. You can also see up here, we've got this adjustable angle stem, 110 millimeters. So it's pretty long, 0 to 80 degrees. So you could be kind of down like this or way up high, and that's going to bring the handlebars back to you as well. You can see that this aluminum alloy bar, it's kind of a gull wing, and it sweeps back to meet you, which means a more upright body position. The frame geometry on this is also, it's less relaxed. Like you can see the steer tube angle and the seat post angle or seat tube angle. They're not quite as relaxed as the Comfort Cruiser. And that means you don't have to lean as far forward, but it also means that you might end up raising the saddle a little bit to get that full sort of leg extension as you pedal, but then that raises your feet for touching the ground, for standing over the bike and stabilizing it. So there are a lot of trade-offs and considerations, and one of the things I love about Pedego is that they've got this huge dealer network, very friendly, this 5-year warranty, where for the first 3 years it's kind of everything's covered, and then after that 3rd year you get kind of prorated on the battery pack. So it's a decent option, and one that not a lot of other companies offer. So what we're looking at here is a 9-pound 48 volt 10 amp hour lithium-ion battery pack. You can see they got a fuse built in for safety. You can swap that out if you've got an issue. Charging port right here. And this is the charger. Look at that, it's got a metal endpoint. I like this thing, it seems pretty sturdy. The charger weighs just about 2 pounds, 1.9 pounds. You can unplug the wall side. It's a pretty durable and reliable charger in my experience. It's also a bit faster than average. One important takeaway is that even though the rear rack batteries look the same on like the Comfort Cruiser to the Interceptor, the Platinum Interceptor, or the Boomerang, we're going from a 36-volt system to a 48-volt system, and the chargers are different. So the metal tip, that's the 48-volt charger, and it works for any of those bikes. If you get the Comfort Cruiser, it's a 36-volt charger. It's just slightly different here. So that's great. There's also an on-off power switch here, which is nice. So if you're not using the battery for a long time, you can completely disable it, or if it's on the bike, you can kind of switch it off back at the battery, and that way no one can mess with your display and the throttle, because this has a throttle. It's active, and if you're at a bike rack and someone's screwing around with it, as I mentioned before, it's a pretty powerful system. I think 35 Newton meters was the peak torque rating on the Comfort Cruiser, whereas this one, it's like 45, so 10 extra Newton meters of power. They're using Samsung cells in I think most of their battery packs, which is a high quality name brand, and there's like a deep sleep system built in, so if it hasn't been used for a while, it sort of shuts itself down, so it's not gonna, you know, kind of dissipate and then run completely out of juice. The risk of that happening is that your cells just get completely dry and they end up getting damaged, and you lose that high capacity of when you first bought the bike. Same thing can happen if you're in extreme heat with these batteries, or extreme cold sort of stunts them temporarily. So keep that in mind. If, again, you live in Arizona, it's really hot, and you park this in the garage, take the battery off, you know, put it in a laundry room or somewhere where it's not going to get extremely hot, and it'll last much longer for you. I'm going to go ahead and show you how this mounts to the bike. One of the things I really love about it is it's got this 3 LEDs built right in. You don't even need to have the bike turned on to use that. It's a nice safety feature. Again, 9 pounds. It's a little bit heavier. Just line it up with that plastic box, push it back, and it just kind of clicks into place here like that. So it's locked now, it's secure. And that is just wonderful. You really don't even need the keys to be in order to lock it, but you do need the keys in order to remove it. So we just insert the key like this, it's spring loaded, and then you pull on the battery and it slides right out. I like that you can remove the keys, because in the past, sometimes you couldn't do that with the earlier models. One of the big trade-offs with many of the Pedego bikes is that in order to get that deep step-through design and have this fun, classy look, they put the battery up high and in the rear, and that's where the motor weight is as well. So you end up with a bike that's kind of rear heavy, and I've noticed sometimes if I'm like trying to carry this up steps or lift the bike, you know, it kind of tips backwards. I actually weighed the bike from here with my little hand scale, and it worked pretty well, but again, that is not the center of the bike. That's definitely towards the rear. I also want to point out one of the sort of trade-offs or concerns is that with that steel fork, steel chain cover, and optional steel fenders, if those get scratched, you can get a little bit of rust over time, so you can use some fingernail polish or car touch-up paint, that kind of thing. Again, with aluminum alloy handlebars here, you're not going to get rust up here. You're not going to get quite as much vibration dampening as you had with some of those Comfort Cruisers, but one of the options is to upgrade from the stock Boomerang to the Platinum Boomerang, which gives you a suspension fork, an air fork. It's lightweight, highly adjustable, it's got lockout, and you can of course adjust the air pressure, and it comes with an even nicer seat post suspension. This is 27.2 millimeter Satori Solo, about 40 millimeters of travel right there, and then there's actually a 6 millimeter hex bolt in the bottom, and you can tighten or loosen the preload, so you can really set this up for your body weight. The maximum weight rating of this bike, they say it's 250 pounds. It feels like these things are really sturdy to me. I mean, you know, 12 gauge spokes, 36 hole rims, that's like definitely up there. They're thick, it's sturdy. But you do have this low step single tube design. You can see there's gussets and stuff right here. They're trying to reinforce it as much as they can. There's a little bit of frame flex that can happen, which is natural when you have a rear mounted battery. I don't want to encourage anyone to, you know, break the rules and push the limits too much, but I did notice that Pedego has like a spokesperson, Rhonda, and she lost like 270 pounds riding one of the Pedego bikes. She weighed 400 pounds plus when she started. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you do weigh more and you're looking for an option, the smaller wheel size gives you that mechanical advantage. You get the cast magnesium rims, they're going to be extra sturdy, and these bikes just seem powerful and durable, and you got the shops to help you out and everything. So for me, it's kind of a go-to, but I do want to tell you their official weight ratings and stuff. Some of the other specs is 170 millimeter standard crank arms. I believe these are they might be Welgo, but they're Pedego branded. Really nice pedals, big. They give you plenty of grip, good traction. Again, black ties in very nicely. If we come back here, one complaint I have is I haven't seen any slap guard stickers on a lot of the Pedego bikes, and it's too bad because they have all these really fancy, beautiful colors. And if that chain is bouncing up and down and it's chipping that over time, you get a little nicks and stuff, and it just doesn't look great. I also noticed that the chain will occasionally hit this steel cover and it makes some noise. Sometimes people are getting on the bike and they accidentally step on the chain cover and it can get bent or marred up. So again, back to the rust, and just keeping an eye out on that thing. In the back, our drivetrain is a 12 to 32 tooth, 7-speed. This is nickel coated, so it's going to be really durable, rust resistant. And we've got SRAM X-4 derailleur. That's okay, you know, it's kind of like on the other models that use Shimano parts. It was Shimano Acera, so it was a few steps up from the base. It's nice that they're not using the most generic part. And again, 7 speeds it's acceptable, but when you have a wider spread like 12 to 32 tooth versus something like 14 to 28, it makes a big difference for climbing, for starting. And if you ran out of juice on this thing, you could go to that low gear, that 32 tooth gear, and you'd be able to limp home no problem. 44 tooth steel chainring up front. There's no narrow wide, there's no chain guide or anything. It's just kind of standard, but for a bike that's really built for the neighborhood and just kind of going casual, I think that's fine. One of the big upgrades is these tires, and we're looking at the Schwalbe Big Ben. I think they use maybe it's the Schwalbe Fat Frank if you get the 26-inch wheel. They have a lot of similarities. They both have the puncture protection. They both have that reflective stripe. I think the 26-inch wheel, it has a wider tire, gives you a larger contact patch, a little bit more cushion maybe, but both of these are sort of the balloon tires and they work really well. Really wide PSI spread, so 30 to 55. If you weigh a little bit less, or maybe you just want the comfort, you lower the tire pressure. It's not going to ride as efficiently, but it gives you the comfort and the stability, which is nice. Pedego also gives you these pre-slimed inner tubes, which is just great because if you do get a leak, you can just pump the tire up and it'll usually hold air, at least for a while, and sometimes it does just fine, and over time it self-seals. But that's a nice little upgrade that they do. I want to point out that even though we do have a lot of cables on this bike and they have to go a long way, it's less of a concern with the hydraulic disc brakes. You know, that you don't have the cable set in over time, where they don't have the dust and stuff kind of getting in there. You do have adjustable reach on these levers too, so if you have someone with smaller hands, you could bring them in or leave them out. They're 4-finger. They've got the motor inhibitor, so anytime you're pulling the brakes, you're cutting power to that motor, whether it's pedal assist or throttle. That's great to see. And then they ran most of the cables through the frame, keeps them kind of hidden and out of the way. You're not going to snag as easily. And then where they come out of the frame is above the bottom bracket. A lot of times I'll see wires that come out like right at the lowest strike point on the bike, which is surprising. So Pedego's done a good job here. I'd say better than average. They've got the nice durable plastic wrap, a quick disconnect for here if you're doing some maintenance on the rear wheel, which is, you know, that's one of the trade-offs. Hub motors are great because they tend to work even if you break your chain or something like that. Well, the motor's right there. It doesn't rely, it's not like a mid-drive. It's not going to stress the drivetrain as much. However, when you have to change a flat, you know, there's no quick release on these. You need some tools. I think it's 15mm nut there and maybe 19 back here. But it's great to have that breakaway cable, so at least you're not having a whole bunch of cables stretching and getting in the way. Really appreciate that. Again, this is a 500-watt motor, and it's the higher 45 newton meters of torque. It's Dapu, but it's Pedego branded. Dapu is a brand that I recognize and trust. They have high quality stuff. It's part of why they can offer that good warranty. And since we're down low anyway, check out this saddle. It's Velo, but it's Pedego branded, and it's got these rubber bumpers, extra wide, kind of swoops back, so you get that really comfortable feel. these bikes just aren't quite as active as a lot of the hybrid bikes and stuff. You know, you don't have to lean forward. You've got that nice cushion that you're sitting on, but you'll notice that the nose is wider. And what that means is if you're pedaling actively, you can actually chafe your inner thigh a little bit over time. So for me, that you need a throttle on a bike like this. I mean, it just gives you the chance to relax, ride around, and this one is just so capable. The way the throttle's set up, it's active all the time in the different assist levels. It's just great. And of course, with that added weight and power, it's nice to have good stopping capabilities. And I already mentioned the levers, but let's look at the rotors. These are 180. That's fairly large, front and rear. It's not like 180, 160, which we see sometimes with the cheaper bikes. And then these are dual piston calipers. That's fine. This brand, Star Union, it's kind of a value brand I've seen before, but they seem to be picking up their game. I mean, this is a pretty nice lever, and you know, it's got the motor inhibitor and everything. It's almost like an e-bike specific brake, and they look nice. They've been performing just fine on my ride. And rounding out the bike is again that rack. It's nice to have a place you can use that easy spring latch, or you can get the Velcro bags that have the panniers. And I like that they left enough room here. They position the battery strategically so that the saddle can go all the way down like that. I mean, look how approachable that is. I think that's about 31 inches off the ground, and you still have room. It's not colliding with a bag back here. And a lot of their bags, I think they have like a pannier that folds down like this. If you need more space, they have reflective fabric built in, which is great. And then there's a bungee loop down here, so you can use that if you want to secure an egg crate or something on top and go college style. Really, really nice. Just again, thoughtfully done. These bikes have been around for a long time. I've been reviewing them forever. The company sort of began in 2007 when Don DiCostanzo was converting regular bicycles to electric and kind of selling those, getting into it. And then in 2009, they started having their own. And over time, even though the aesthetics have remained consistent, you got that classic look for most of their bikes. Just the technology has definitely been improved. And as low as that seat is, you can even go lower if you swap this out and you get a rigid seat post. It might not be quite as comfortable, but you're going to save 2.5 inches there. So as usual, I have measured the length, the width, the height of this bike, the 24-inch, as well as the 26-inch, because they had one at the Glendale Peoria Pedego shop, and I got to measure them both. So my goal is just to be as thorough as possible. I've listed both tire specs, all the geometry, and I've got some other little quick tutorials about how to use the display and stuff. So one of the cool things about this display and the cockpit is that, you know, they positioned the headlight a little bit lower down, and they've got the cables wrapped here, so you do still have some space. You could put a little USB speaker or a cup holder, or maybe a mount for your phone. You could use GPS while you're riding, and you could charge it right off of that e-bike battery. So just like the headlight and the rear light run off of the battery, this USB port taps in as well. So it's full size USB Type A, plug right in, set your accessories up here. And I think that is just so cool. It's something that I put to use, especially in a neighborhood kind of cruiser environment. And let's go ahead and boot the display up. If we press the power button for a second, it comes right to life. Now remember, we did switch the battery on first. It's a good thing to remember. Right down there, there's the power button. And we can see there's a little power meter. It shows it kind of like grows as the motor is producing more power. So that's what we got over here on the left. Speed, it's in miles per hour, but we can set that to kilometers per hour, and I'll show you how in just a moment. Pedal assist levels, it starts in 0, which is great because that means the throttle isn't active and pedal assist isn't going to go. It just feels like a good safety decision from their part. Over here we got 5 bars on the battery infographic. Leaves something to be desired. I kind of like to have 10 or maybe a battery percentage, but this is kind of standard. You see it a lot in the e-bike space. Then we got trip meter down here, and if we press set, we can go to timer, odometer, and trip distance. So you just cycle through with the set button. That's pretty great. Back to the USB charging port on the bottom. If we want to activate that, we have to press set and plus for a couple seconds together, and then there we go. We get a little USB icon. Keep that in mind. Again, it's back at the site. Try to make that clear for you. And then if we want to turn on the lights, we just tap that power button like that, and there's a little lights indicator up there. And now we're good to go in the front and in the rear. It's kind of nice to do that. Again, you can run that rear light if you want just by tapping the light button. It's completely independent because it's built into the battery. And then if we want to get into some settings and make the adjustment on the speed readout, we can just hold the set button for a couple seconds, and then it starts to blink. So, you know, first setting, do we want to clear our trip distance? Second settings, you know, what's our top speed? Third settings, how big is our wheels? Fourth settings, miles per hour or kilometers per hour. You know, fifth settings, pedal assist. Do you want that to be active or not? And then which level is throttle? And they have that set to 6. So I'm going to go ahead and hold set for a second. We get out. Coming back to actually using the bike, we just press these plus and minus buttons. Fairly reachable from the grip. You don't have to take your hands off. They're, you know, it's a decent display. It's, in my opinion, you got to look to the left a little bit, but it's up high. It's not like in the frame or really low. And this monochrome works pretty well. It is backlit, so you can't see it right now, but if this was nighttime, there'd be like a faint glow, and that makes it easy to use whenever the headlights are active too. So we press the plus button, we get pedal assist 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like you'd think. You start pedaling, it sends a signal, the motor kicks on, and it's pretty responsive. There's a little bit of a delay, but you can always override that with either brake lever. You just pull that, it cuts the motor. So pedal assist is very intuitive, and what I love is that the throttle overrides pedal assist with full power. So many times I'll be riding just kind of casually, and then I'll realize, oh, it's a green light, let's get up there. Or, oh, my friends, you know, I want to catch up with them, or climb a hill and maybe just take a break because I'm just relaxing on the nice saddle. Well, you just twist that throttle and it goes, and it works great. Pedal assist, if we go up to 6, even though it still says pass, 6 is really just throttle only mode. So you don't have to worry about pedaling. It's not going to activate the motor unexpectedly. It's just pure throttle mode. And now this menu doesn't go around, so you can't press plus to get back to 0. You have to press minus a bunch of times to get down. But otherwise, I think this is a really great setup. It really hasn't changed over the years. It's very intuitive. They've done a good job. And then on this side, you know, we have the twist throttle, the brake lever, and then the SRAM trigger shifters. I do not love these trigger shifters, and they're actually kind of positioned higher than I'd like. I would kind of spin this to have them down a little bit more, but you have to use your thumb for both of them, and you can't really see that window unless it's up in the up position. So again, this is just set up a little bit wonky for me right now. If we compare it to the Comfort Cruiser models, they have this big like thumb shifter thing. It looks like this. It's way up high, and you really have to reach, but the window's right there. It's very intuitive. It's easy to use with gloves. This one, it's just smaller. I prefer Shimano trigger shifters because a lot of them have pull and push levers, and it just seems like it's more reachable to me. SRAM has been showing up on a lot of parts recently, and they're part of the company that does rock shocks and stuff. They're a trustworthy, good company, but some of the interface is not necessarily my favorite, and I think some of the companies have been using them just because that's what's available, and there's been a shortage in the bike space in recent years. Taking a little break here in the shade, and I was reflecting on some of the trade-offs when you have a step-thru. You know, if you have one of those car racks that hangs the bike from a top tube, you're gonna need a crossbar adapter that goes from here to here. And then I remembered, oh yeah, you know, this hardware, it's like 1 1/8 inch straight, and then up here, 25.4 millimeters versus 31.8. So it's not using like hybrid or mountain bike standards. It's using kind of old-fashioned and cruiser standards, and that's good. It's just, you know, that's why I try to record the stats and stuff, because if you decided you wanted to replace the stem, or, you know, again, the seat post 27.2, it's good to know what the parts are so you get the right stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hop on the bike here. In the past, they've also had these like double leg kickstands that hung down a bit further. I'm a fan of this just single side. It is adjustable length too, so you can set that up right. Occasionally you'll hear a little bit of bouncing if you're going over big bumps, and I mentioned earlier the chain can bump into that chain cover occasionally, but otherwise the bike is pretty quiet. Here's kind of a flex test. You can see if I shake the front of the bike, the rear is kind of boing, you know, it's a little bit of flex going on, but that's just really one of the trade-offs if you have the single tube frame design. So I'm going to start off in the highest level of pedal assist, 5, and I'm going to turn on the backlighting. Oh, I turned it off, so there it is, off, on. I don't know if you can see that very well, but pedal assist level 5. We'll just make our way down the street. What I found is that it's very, very responsive. It's very zippy. So here we go. And very quickly we're up to 20, and then the motor just kind of fades out or goes on and off depending on your speed. Here is the no hand shot I was talking about. So very, very steady. not feeling any speed wobble. I'm not having trouble keeping it straight. This is good. This is what you want. Super comfortable upright body position. And if you have to stop like I just did and you're in a higher gear and you don't want to stress your knees, well, that's where the throttle comes in. So we'll just twist that gently. Yep. And then we'll climb this hill, no problem. We're just flying up this hill. Nice to have those hydraulic brakes too, once you get going like that. I mean, these bikes are powerful. Any of the ones with the 48 volt batteries, you definitely get a kick. Now we're gonna go back on the trail here. I'm gonna take the pedal assist level down a little bit to level 2, so I'm not getting, yeah, there we go. We don't need to be flying down this little path. There we go. Very pleasant. So we're at, 12 miles per hour, 12, 13, that's where it kind of cuts off. Did just fine in the sand because these tires are a little bit wider than your typical tire, kind of that balloon size. Gives you the stability, it gives you some comfort. Okay guys, you're on the 27.2 millimeter seat post. We're looking down at a 44 tooth steel chainring and back at a 12 to 32 tooth cassette. 7 speeds. It's a good setup. I'm in the highest level of assist as usual, so you'll be able to hear how pronounced the motor is, and then you can kind of time my pedaling to how quickly the motor activates when it starts and stops. Let's do it. And I could definitely hear the chain bouncing around a little bit. I don't actually see any marks on the chainstay at this point, but yeah, I think it's mostly just hitting the cover there. Nice how approachable this thing is. You can stand over it, move it around like that, no problem. And I'll take off this way. There we go. Little brake test going on. quite zippy. For me, this is a bike that just has a bunch of options, and you are paying a little bit extra. It's a very custom frame style, kind of unique in that way, but it's one that I think appeals to a lot of people, and it rides great. So as usual, I've done my best on the specs, tried to give you some different perspectives and stuff. I hope you guys have a great day, and you know, back at the site there's a cool comparison tool, so you could look at the Comfort Cruiser and this, compare them back to back. It's about $1,000 extra for the Boomerang. Maybe a step-through Comfort Cruiser would be enough, but again, 36 volt versus 48. This one's a lot peppier. Do you want the cast magnesium rims? Do you want to upgrade and get a suspension fork? Pedego has all the options for you, and I hope that helps you. There's also a forums at ElectricBikeReview.com. My goal with that is just to keep it as open as possible so people can talk to each other and share the real deal, because I'm really only trying this for a day or two, and I might not tease out all the intricacies. I welcome your comments. I love you guys. Ride safe, and we'll see you in the next one. So I met Rich, and he's got kind of a cool story I wanted to share. Tell us how you got into this stuff.
Well, I got into electric bikes. My son and I went to Barcelona, Spain, and we had an opportunity on an excursion to go on an electric bike. And I said to my son, I don't want a scooter. He says, no, you have to pedal an electric bike. So we went on an electric bike. It was a great ride and everything. We went up to an observatory. These are just little 250 watt electric bikes. And then I came back and I thought, gee, I need to introduce my family to these bikes. So I found Steve on the internet, the Pedego store, and I asked him, I said, do you have 12 bikes? Because that's how many are in my family. And he says, that'll pretty much take care of my entire rental fleet. So we all went and rented a bike. We rode 13 miles to a restaurant, came back from the restaurant, and 2.5 years later, my family has 15 of these Pedego electric bikes.
Oh my gosh, they went ahead and bought some of their own. And
yes.
You know, it's interesting because you were talking about traveling in Europe and you rented some, and it's like you got the bug and then you came back here and you got your families trying it.
Absolutely.
So what did they end up with? Which one do you have?
Well, I have a Platinum Interceptor.
Okay. Okay.
And then my wife has a Boomerang.
Yeah.
I bought a 26-inch Boomerang, which was this bike here, and she's 5'4", and she couldn't get both feet on the ground. Oh. She liked the Boomerang because it has such a low step through. It's only 9 inches from the ground. Yeah. Anyway, so I ended up buying her a 24-inch fork on it, air fork on the front of it. Yeah. And she loves that bike, and her and I, we just came back from Zion, Bryce, St. George.
Beautiful.
Rode all those places, beautiful scenery, and now we're getting ready to leave for San Diego. We'll stay in Chula Vista. We'll ride to Silver Strand. Oh, that's 17 awesome. Miles to Coronado and back again. It's just absolutely beautiful. Ride. But yeah, we love our bikes.
Do you take them then? You have a car rack, or?
What I do is I have a Tahoe and a 25-foot travel trailer, and I put the Thule.
Yeah.
Easy fold.
You got the hitch rack. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then when we get where we're going, I take the hitch off, the bike rack off there, put it on the back of the Tahoe, and we go everywhere.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, we'll ride Carlsbad. We'll do La Jolla.
Scripps, I mean, all that stuff right around there. La Jolla is just such a nice area, and Black's Beach, you can go exploring absolutely. And stuff.
And the other thing that's nice about the Boomerang is it has the adjustable handlebars.
Oh yeah. So
now, because of her, she's long in the body, short in the legs, and she wants that, able to bring that handlebars closer to her.
Right.
And the Boomerang, which is standard on it, gives you that opportunity.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing that, Rich.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.